Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, welcome. We are so in real time or watching on the replay. Please do feel free to drop questions and comments into the chat. We look back at those if you're watching the replay. So, like I said, feel free to drop comments and observations. And also, if you and I are not connected on LinkedIn yet, feel free. Please do reach and connect with me. I love to chat with people in the DMs, and I offer that as your personal AI help desk. If you have questions when you're working on a project to help you with, I'm delighted to do that. My name is Ann Murphy. I'm the founder of She Leads AI and CEO of Empowered Fundraiser Consulting, and I'm delighted to have you with us here today. And by here, I mean this episode in a series of live conversations with speakers who will share their wisdom at the She Leads AI Create conference, which takes place in Salt Lake City, October 11th through 14th. And we wanted to just give folks an opportunity to meet the women who will be speaking. You'll get a give information to help help you decide to join us or at least reach out to us to learn more about She Leads AI. The way that we're going to work together today is after I give a little bit of information about She Leads AI, I'll bring my colleagues up. They'll introduce themselves, and we're going to go through some observations of our relationship with AI, some of the opportunities we see out there, whether they are missed or already being capitalized on, and some of our hopes and dreams for the future. So before I bring up Corean and Suzanne, let me share with the nice people. It is here. So the mission of She Leads AI is to unite accomplished women to advance AI for global prosperity. And for sure, that's not just like a really glib is, oh, I'm just telling you, I think my internet is going in and out, but this really is what we do. And I'll give you an example. We have a certified AI educator, and as part of our first cohort's education and certification process, we have an internship. That internship is teaching women in poor countries how to use AI responsibly. So we have a collaboration with a nonprofit organization called are on scholarship in college, and we do virtual trainings with them and now are creating some of the curriculum for their projects that we get involved with, in addition to the things that we do among ourselves. So, for example, we have Social Saturdays, which we invite all of you to. All women in AI are invited to join us on Saturday. It's from 10 a.m. to noon every weekend, rain or shine. Even think that we have the Create conference. We will have Social Saturday. So you can count on us to be there. If you go to AI, you can register to get a link. So that's a little bit about us. There's a lot more I could share all day, but I want to dive in with my colleagues today and get them to share some of their observations and part of their relationship with AI. So why don't I welcome colleagues up on stage? And hi, you two. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I'm going to dive in with a question that will, I hope, to introduce yourself as well as share some thoughts. This here. All right. And like Suzanne, I've been with you since what feels like it feels like 30 seconds ago, and it also feels like 10 years ago. But early in 2023, I think I met you, probably somewhere around
I
there.
think so.
And
Yeah, it was definitely in
we've been able to work. Yeah, it was early in the game. Let's begin by tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got here,
Sure.
what you're doing right now with a.
Sure. So, Suzanne Welker Jurgens, I'm a product manager at Adobe currently, working on the Customer Zero Gen Studio solution, which is really a content supply chain to develop content and deliver that and measure it. It's something that is out there for everybody, that can use it, but we work on an internal team to test it out at Adobe, and then give feedback to the product team. And yes, there will be some AI pieces in there that we're working on. But when I first met you, Anne, in 2023, it was right after I had gotten laid off from my last job, and I had the opportunity to probably spend 12 to 14 hours a day focused on just trying out everything new and fun with AI. And I built 50 GPTs. I just tested out everything, making cool videos or anything else that was out there. And that was really a lot of fun. But then as I got back to work and got hired at Adobe, I realized I didn't have a lot of time, to be testing out. And as you know, AI is constantly changing. There's a new tool or a new feature like every day. Like I can't even keep up with the newsletters and all the announcements, and I certainly don't have time to try everything out. So kind of I was really before involved in like chasing all those shiny new tools because I had the time, and now I really don't. So I really got a bit overwhelmed at first, and I really, at that point, I kind of shifted my focus into what is the problem I am solving, and really what is it that I can use in my life, in my work life, in my day-to-day life that can help make my life better. And I've been doing an amazing job in my personal life, adopting AI to help solve problems. Recently, I've been using it a lot to kind of clean out my storage and sell things on eBay and Poshmark. I use it every day. I was using it for recipes yesterday. But in my work life, we're often many, especially enterprise companies, we're stuck with like certain tools that we can use and not other tools. And one of the things I see really is that people aren't using a lot of AI. They're just like the tools are thrown out there, and people may take here's how you prompt, but they're really just not using them. So I work every day trying to figure out ways that I can use it with my job to help optimize my performance, and then share it out to the team.
I have so enjoyed watching your journey. I remember when custom GPTs hit crazy for custom GPTs, and you built, I think it's your pop art one that has correct?
Well, I do have a pop art one, which definitely has a lot of usage, but I have one that was my very first GPT, which, I was inspired by watching Kyle Shannon on AI Learning Lab, and he built one called the Sin City Sipper. And I'm like, I can do that. So I took a topic that I love dearly, which is manifesting, and I created Manifest Your Dream Life. And I've, similar to any product, I kept refining it and adding new features and, doing everything you need to do, testing it, seeing how it goes. And as of today, I haven't checked recently, but it has like over 25,000 conversations. So.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
25,000
cool.
is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think it actually even comes up in Google search.
I remember when
so if you look up manifesting in GPTs, it comes up right at the top. But I have a marketing background as well, and one of the things that you need to do is really make sure that you're using good name for your GPTs, good descriptions, and I put it out in a lot of directories so that people could find it.
Oh, that's so smart. I remember the day when we all realized that we would have to maintain all of the GPTs
Oh my gosh.
that we had created. Not as fun as building them.
No, I'm sure I still have some that are broken.
Yeah.
But every update that OpenAI makes, I always get worried because my GPTs will break. So I've had to go back through and clean them up. And even simple things from like, going from to, ChatGPT 5, you need to check. So if you have GPTs that you're using, you really do need to have kind of a maintenance schedule and go in and making sure that they're working and testing. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Little did we know. We were just building GPTs with abandon, and now it turns out we have to them. One of my best ones is glitching with 5. It just, and I just keep trying. But that's a me and OpenAI problem.
I am having a lot of luck using those.
Okay, Corean, tell us a little bit about you, how you got here. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love. Are you say projects? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think there was a delay for a
it.
moment. I just said I've been using a lot of those project folders instead of GPTs lately for my own work.
Oh, me too. Huge fan. I build probably 2 or 3 projects for every. Well, I think since I started using projects, I don't know if I've built a GPT. It's just so handy.
Yeah, same.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry about the glitching. So sorry.
No worries. I mean, technology is never 100% all the time, right? No matter how great it is, it still has its moments and its days. But I also have a marketing background. I spent 20 years in media marketing and advertising and former COO. But now I'm the founder of Speak More Human and co-founder of Shift to Play. So my current work really sits at the intersection of voice leadership and culture. I do a lot of helping leaders and teams find clarity and communicate with impact and really navigate change, especially in this AI era. And I think it's funny for me because I've been a improviser, a comedy improviser, and a sketch writer and a writer for many, many, many years. And so when ChatGPT first came out, I was like, oh, how I'm a writer, right? Like it's like because everyone at first was just kind of using it for emails and like all the things that we were introduced in. And so at first I was kind of like, I want to still use my brain. I also take care of my mother with dementia. So I'm constantly thinking about what we're doing with our brains. And I was like, I don't just want to put my brain in a jar. But then I also realized, if people like me aren't using it and programming it and putting input into it and sharing my perspective, then that's not going to be a very good tool, right? And so more women and more people who aren't the initial users need to be feeding our perspective and our lived experiences and helping to shape it. And once I kind of realized that, I dove in head first. And now I really love using it in a way to be a thought partner and to help me think better as opposed to take over my thinking and to help me optimize things that as a COO, I wish I had five years ago, right? So I could help my teams be able to take their time back to work on the human things that really matter and the AI can't do very well. And so I've been spending a lot of time working with people in that area of like, how do we tap more into, creativity and collaboration and the things that our imagination can do that technology just can't, and let technology take over some of the things that we can spend better brain power on.
Yeah. I love it. It's not about like outsourcing everything to AI. It's about like the vision of us plus AI, what we can accomplish. Okay, I'm feeling like we're glitching a lot, or is it a little? Is it a little or a lot?
I would say a little.
Mm-hmm. I think your internet might be a little slow.
Okay.
I'm fine. Like I don't hear any
Okay.
lag with Suzanne.
We're gonna do our a little bit kind of, there'll be like a pause, but we'll get in all of the good content. Okay, so when I think about AI and I think about the women who are in She Leads AI, us have 20, 30, 40 years of subject matter expertise, and then into it, and that's like our superpower. People talk about the human in the loop. I like to talk about the expert in the loop. What are paying attention to from your subject matter expertise, trends in AI where you're just like really tuned in, where AI can make an impact in your zone of genius? Suzanne?
Sure. In my last job and in my recent job, I just see a lot of people who are, given these AI tools with not really a lot of direction, on how can they use it in their specific work that they're doing, right? I mean, there may be like office hours or like kind of an onboarding session, or sometimes they're just thrown out there. And, a lot of times I see people just using them or not really sure how to use them, or they just learn how to prompt. And not, there's really just not a lot of clear direction. So what I really see starting to trend, I think, especially with companies who I think are succeeding with adoption, is they're kind of moving beyond that kind of, here's a tool, make up a use case on your own, that whole experimentation phase. And they're starting to really align that AI to their strategies and their processes and their workflow, and developing, kind of seeing where it fits in their workflows to help, really drive that adoption, so that people can really see what's in it for me. How is this really helping me, get better? Because I mean, a lot of people are lazy. They try it. It didn't work well. Why bother,
I feel like it's also where we've been so programmed for speed's sake, right? Like, oh, it doesn't work now, I got to move on to the next thing, that we don't realize like we actually have to spend time with it and let it iterate and get to know it and test and learn. And like one of my favorite words, play with it. Like we have to give ourselves space and grace to really play with the tools. And I think that that's really important. I think one of the things that's very fascinating in the work I do now and in the work I did for 20 years, working with brands and advertising, is our ability to synthesize a lot of information to help fuel our thought leadership. Because I also coach a lot of TEDx speakers right now. So I'm working with people every day who love ideas and like love learning. And what would take a long time in the past to be able to go find the research or find the articles or find the things when you're exploring an idea and then be able to connect the dots and synthesize them, it can help us pull that together. And then as the human, we can then look at it and understand our perspective and our POV and our thoughts, or find out what's happening on the world from different sources. And so I think there's a lot of support in continued development and learning and understanding your industry and understanding the things that you might just be interested in learning about. Like I know a lot of people that are setting up their own learning programs using AI, in ways that they just didn't have access to before. And I think that's something that I'm excited about.
Yeah. I really love what you about, being able to get our hands on information. I think about when I was in graduate school and going back, and we still use the Dewey Decimal System, and we still had micro. The stacks were like the size of multiple football fields at University of Illinois. By the time I get all my things with my undiagnosed at that time ADHD, I've got all this stuff, and I'm marching across campus, all these hard copies of things. I get home, I am exhausted, and now is when I'm supposed to start. Right? I haven't read anything, and so I'm really having a good time right now with the research and like just going down with seeing how much information I can get, especially using just like experimenting with some of the tools that are a little bit more on what they're willing to go behind, just to see what's out there. Not to say that that I want to go behind paywalls all the time, but I am about what is available versus like a ChatGPT deep research or something. But the opportunity to get our hands on knowledge that we can so quickly turn into insights, which then we can take action on. It's miraculous. I just think it's the best. I'm just loving that part. I was really to the creation part of it, and then to anticipation, and now I'm like all in on the research component. So I appreciate hearing from both of you on what trends you're paying attention to. Okay, so here's an overlooked issue in leading AI responsibly. So what's something that we're not talking enough about that's going on in AI bumps up against some of your own ethical guidance? Suzanne.
Definitely. I think I'm really big on having lots of citations and knowing where my information comes from, but I still think a lot of people are just taking it for what it's worth, right? What's it's spitting out, without taking that extra click and looking at those citations, because it's just kind of regurgitating what it's seeing in news articles or on the web. And who's to say that what it's referencing is even accurate or true, right? Maybe opinion pieces and not fact. So I really do think it's important to, when you're looking for information, especially when it comes to that research, right, that you're making sure it's checking legitimate sources and really understanding where that information it's coming from, right? I mean, there's a lot of, I went to this fabulous exhibit this weekend in San Francisco. It was at the Exploratorium, and it was really geared for like more younger adults. It was all on AI, and it did have a whole display on bias, right? Like about asking questions and then the kind of results that come up. And, really thinking about that. Where is that information coming from? Really thinking through that. And I think it's important for all of us to do that work and take that extra click and making sure you're seeing those citations and that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I lean into that too. I think I do a lot of work with bias. And I think when you say bias, it can sometimes feel like a uncomfortable word. But the reality is, like, we're all biased. We all have a lens through our lived experience, no matter what that looks like, where we're from, who we grew up around, what we've been exposed to, what we haven't been exposed to. Like, that's bias. We just know what we know until we know something else. And sometimes we're open to it and sometimes we're not. And that's every single human, right? And when you think about how biased it is because there's been a limited amount of users who've been feeding this thing that learns from who uses it. And there's been people with very similar backgrounds and perspectives who've been building it, that we have to be even more diligent about like what's the information we're receiving, how many voices, how many different perspectives, how many different situations were tested, and how much background is there in this information. And I think this is where I really lean into, like, this is where we use our critical thinking. This is where we don't put our brain in a jar, but this is where we use our critical thinking and our superpower that we have as humans of being curious about what's been given to us, right? Like, how do we get curious and question and use our critical thinking? Because then AI becomes a tool to help us think better and not to kind of think for us. And then when we respond that way and we're asking these questions, we're helping to make the tools better. And I think that that's a really important thing.
I do too. How do you two handle whether your chats are going to train the next model or not? Do you always turn that off? Do you always keep it on? What are your kind?
For myself, I don't put a lot of really, confidential information, at least in my personal life. So, I'm not uploading anything, just conversations about, what I eat or selling things or just questions, right? So I don't turn anything off there. And then when it comes to work related stuff, that's on all kind of private enterprise. So they're definitely not training anything there. If I was doing like client work, I definitely would not want to put information out there. If it's proprietary or something, there is that, security is always super important to me. So that's definitely something I would think about, depending on what type of work you're doing is, asking that question, is this something I really want a model to be trained on, or if that information were to get out there? I mean, I know there's that kind of store. Somebody was saying it, the information you put is like a grain of sand in an ocean, right? But you never know. Maybe that grain of sand does come back up, right? So you have to be careful, I think.
Yeah, I do think it requires a lot of discernment.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's brand new. Like, there's not regulation. There's not a lot of, like, the speed at which AI is being adopted and adapted and evolving. Like, we're all trying to grasp it, and privacy is a thing. Like, unfortunately, there are bad players in the world who are taking advantage of the new technology. So you have to have a lot of discernment about which tools you're using, understanding their policies. Like, how many of us through most of our adult life, every new tool we use, we just click yes, and we've never even read the user agreement, or we don't know what we're agreeing to, right? But so there is a level of discernment that we have to have as we're testing and using these new tools. And I think that it's us just making sure we hold on to our own agency while we make sure we're learning and growing along with it, because it's not going anywhere. It's just like I keep going back to, and I don't remember who said this first, but I know it's been said many times, but it's like, right now, even with everything we've seen over the last year of how amazing AI has gotten in just 1 year's time, it's still the worst it will ever be. Like, it's the worst it will ever be. It's only going to advance and be more complex and have more capabilities. And so that's something to think about.
Yeah. I have had numerous experiences of doing a demo for a client, and while I'm doing it, realizing that something has changed. Projects came online, like, I don't know, might have been like while I was in a session with a client. And she goes, "What's that projects thing?" And I'm like, I have no idea. So we learned about it together. And I think that's part of it, is being able to learn a lot of other people. I'm so grateful that I have women like you to learn alongside, or how I mean, I just can't imagine going into Hume and trying to learn all this stuff and trying to figure out, what I think about it, borrow from other women's lived experiences to get a sense of, is this something that I want in my life? Is this something that maybe is okay for me, but not okay for my kids? What are the implications of this? It's been really helpful to have other people to compare and contrast my experiences with. Session earlier today where we did a big ethics exercise, and was really interesting. It was a reminder. These are people who are outside of the AI bubble, very on ethics and AI, and very much more, I would say, more black and white, because they have time that we've spent thinking about some of these things, and they're kind of like on the spot coming up with, well, here's what I think about that. And I know that they'll evolve just like we have, but it was really interesting to like put some of these, they think, have thought about it for the first time, What is an opportunity I can bring into our lives that you think is being underutilized so far, or not getting as much attention as it should? Suzanne, do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I guess when I think of opportunities, as a general thing, it's not about specific tools. It's really thinking more about adoption and people and process. So, a lot of, I used to always say in my old job, that tools won't fix a broken process, right? And the same thing goes with AI. AI is not going to fix your process. It's just going, so it's really good to kind of align on what you want that process to be, what those outcomes you're looking for, and then use AI to help you like scale that, to optimize that. Yeah, and the other important thing I think too with AI in terms of opportunity is really about change management and adoption. Really, it's about making sure people feel comfortable, and that they're understanding what's in it for them, because ultimately if they're not going to use it, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, that's super important and part of what I do day to day in my job, right? Because you can throw all these things out there, and cool tools, no matter what, they try it, or they're just not seeing what's in it for them, right? So I think that's really where the opportunity is getting better at looking at user adoption and change management. So it's not really so much focusing on the tool, but on the other pieces.
I love that, Suzanne. And I mean, there's tons of ways and opportunities that we can use to make work better for us, especially as humans. But I want to speak on the biggest way that AI has probably empowered me in my life that I don't know if I've been in a lot of conversations about, or even spoke about out loud a lot. Many people, if they know me, know that I'm a caretaker to my mother and her partner. And anybody who's been a caretaker, especially to an elderly person in the United States, it can be a nightmare to navigate the medical system and all of the specialists and the doctors and all of the things that they just kind of want to throw at, or the medicines that they just want to put people on without an explanation. And so navigating two people in their entire medical history and trying to understand what should happen, what shouldn't happen, being able to, going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, having access to information where I can question things and I can get information and I can really quickly look up, like, what are they telling me? And how can I be empowered to help take care of my mother when she no longer can take care of herself? Because before, I haven't been to medical school. I don't know half of the scientific names of medications or what they're for or how they interact, because the specialists don't talk to each other and they might not understand what the other doctor said. And there's just so much that I've seen in healthcare that it's really been like a lifesaver in so many instances of this being a daily occurrence in my life. And I think that the people that I know that work in health tech, who talk about the breakthroughs that they're having, like the positive breakthroughs that really help in the medical system, especially the people who struggle in it, I feel like it's going to be very empowering in that sense.
I wish we would have had generative AI would have helped bridge, we were with our understanding of complex diseases that nobody knows everything we know about, but that doctors speak about in a language that might as well be Greek, and just the intense problem solving that you're trying to do in an environment where you're already super stressed, because that's what happens to caregivers, and you be able to make decisions and you lack the information that you have. I would have done anything to have ChatGPT when my mom was sick. That would have helped a lot. I want to kind of on Christina's comment about AI bringing to light productivity and efficiency issues. I could not agree more. I feel like, we're approaching this as an conversation, but right, it's about breaking some of the systems completely that were already pretty broken. Mindset shift or process tip that you would give somebody how would you advise them to approach being new?
Some of that I didn't catch, Anne. Sorry. I think there was about a mindset shift about being new. But I can kind of talk really about productivity and efficiency. And some of this is what I'm going to cover at the Create conference, which I'm really excited, is looking at how you're currently working, really thinking that through. Who are the roles on your team? What are they doing? What's their current ways of working? And what are those pain points? And a lot of that is efficiency or a lot of manual work, uploading and downloading information, and being able to look at the opportunities of finding out where AI may be able to help you, right? And then being able to determine what is that right AI tool to help solve those problems, right? So to me, it's really getting clear on what are you trying to solve? What's your business objective? And what are the people and the processes that are currently trying to get you there? And then bringing in the tech to help bring that efficiency gain.
I love that, Suzanne. Yeah, you broke up a little bit,
So
Anne, but I
good.
think I kind of understood a little bit about what you were saying about mindset shift is, and just to kind of add to what you were saying, and I think also from the mindset of it, like there's so many people that are afraid of like AI replacing their jobs and what they do. And I think a lot of what I've been talking to people about is like, instead of thinking about what can it replace, let's think about what it makes possible. Because I've done so much work with like leaders and executives and teams on like, how do we make work better and like more joyful and fun and not miserable, right? Like we don't have to make it so hard. And there's some things that we do that are very tedious and take up a lot of time. And how many of us have been on calls all day and then have to work at night because we never got to do the work, and there is so much inefficiency. So if we can start like thinking about, well, what does it make possible? Because then it enables me to do new things that I probably enjoy better, and help me really even understand like, what do I enjoy in my job? What do I wish I could do more of? What do I wish I could take off my plate so I can do more of the things that I enjoy, that lean into my strengths, that make me feel like I'm meaningful and impactful, versus some of the things we just have to do because it's the only way we've known how to do it. And I think if we start thinking in that way, we'll be able to help, especially people who aren't necessarily the leaders making the decisions, but you'll be able to have a voice in how we think it should be integrated into work and what areas it will actually make work better for people. But I agree that it kind of needs to be a mindset shift from everyone, from where they sit in their role, around like, what could be possible for me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely
absolutely.
agree with
Yeah,
that. It's
my
really
gosh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really agree. It's really shifting, instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, AI is going to take my job, to really, how can AI help change the way I do my job? How can it make it better and more? How can I be more efficient? You're right. So that I can do work that brings me more joy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know, it's one of the things that this AI has helped me think about, is that until now, I don't know if I ever really afforded myself the moment to think, what do I not like about my job? It was like, I must like everything.
Mm.
Everything. It's smile and nod. It's all good things. And then when AI came on the scene and I got to think about, approaching it like, what do I wish I could do more of, could do less of? What are the things that I'm doing that are not in my zone of, do not enjoy? Let's figure out how to fix those so I have time for the things that do bring me joy. I want to thank both of you so much. Before we close for the day, can you talk a little bit about how people can find you, like to work on with folks? If like in Suzanne's case, what you like, maybe you can share a little bit of how your life. Just tell the people how to get a hold of you, and what kind of projects you're working on right now.
Sure. I also want to answer Christina's question, or her statement, really, about that there is a validity for both,
Mhm.
about fear replacing your job, enthusiasm for what it can bring in terms of innovation and solutions. Yeah, I agree. It is really thinking about, like, I agree. It's possible it could change what you're currently doing, right? Or it may change your jobs. There may be some jobs out there that it does replace, but really kind of looking to the future of what are other things I could be doing, right? And like you said, freeing up to do more higher level work or other work that you enjoy more. So I definitely can understand that fear. But that's even more reason to kind of work towards your own personal AI adoption, so that you can be looking towards that future, versus kind of focusing on just worried of just the fear piece.
Yeah.
And in terms of how I'm using AI in my personal life, I I have actually, I'm speaking about it on Thursday, but I, like many of us, I have way too much stuff. I moved a couple years ago, put all this stuff in storage, overwhelmed with stuff, right? And there's all that emotional, feelings you have towards objects that you try to, like, I don't really need it, I can donate it. And so I've really been using a lot of Chat GPT to help me work through that, right? And figuring out, is it something I should donate? Is it something I should sell? And then, so as I'm going through my storage, I'm taking pictures, I'm uploading it, getting a sense of, what it is. And I found some really great treasures in my storage, things that I mean, I've only paid a few $20 for, and worth, a couple $100, right? Or finding out that my old Nancy Drew books are actually worth like $300 to $400, right? So I've been using a lot of that, and also helping write my eBay and my Poshmark. And in the first 2 months, I made like $700. So yay! So I was going to go over some of that, how I've been using AI to kind of help clean out my storage and optimize that personal. But I also use AI a lot, like I said, in my day-to-day work. Really just right now, again, it's not embedded into the way I work. I'm just looking for opportunities. I do a lot of discovery sessions with internal clients, right? And finding out kind of how are they currently working? What are those pain points? And looking at using all that data to kind of map out some possible solutions to help solve that by adjusting, the ways of working or adjusting the tools. So that's a lot of how I use AI today currently. And somebody had also asked about my GPT. It's called Manifest Your Dream Life. So I do use it a lot in my for other things like that. But I currently have a full-time job, but love to talk to people so they can connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have a Calendly if you want to, set up time just to chat about AI. And at some point, maybe I will do consulting, but happy to talk through things and everything. A lot of my background is really working on looking at I manage a tech stack, trying to figure out what are the right tools, evaluating tool selection, understanding security of bringing in new tools, change management, user adoption, kind of that run the business, but also rolling out new features. So happy to talk through AI from that lens if it's helpful for anyone. But I'm really excited about being included in the Create conference. So excited to put together what I'm going to be speaking about. I'm going to be touching on some of this. So thank you, Anne.
Yeah, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up. So
awesome. I'm so
quickly, people can just find me on LinkedIn. My name's on the screen. That will take you to both my businesses, Speak More Human and Shift to Play. And so I just love to work with individuals and companies who are wanting to make sure that they still have their voice and learn how to stand out while everyone's kind of starting to sound the same with the intense use of AI. So how to use it to amplify your voice and not become your voice. And also how to use play to help your teams in this time of rapid change, and to help us with creativity and innovation, and to use the tools in a way that actually integrate well into the culture. So I'd love to have conversations about that with anyone.
If anyone is out there listening, feeling like they are alone on an island, or they have started like turning the other direction when they see you coming, these are your people. We would be delighted to hear from you. There is a community of women out here supporting each other and learning from one another. And I encourage you to reach out to us for sure. In my case, like, feel free, reach out anytime. And check out She Leads AI at sheleadsai.ai. And we would all love to see you. Thank you, you two beautiful, brilliant colleagues. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for taking time out of your day. And to everybody else, thank you for being here, and beautiful rest of your